The 2nd of December, 1993, 10:23 a.m. For exactly 5 minutes and 47 seconds, Pablo Escobar talks to his son. 5 minutes and 47 seconds of a father's love. 5 minutes and 47 seconds that will cost him everything. Because somewhere in a concrete bunker across the city, machines are listening, calculating, triangulating. The most wanted man in the world has just signed his own death warrant with the phone call. This is the story of how the king of cocaine spent his last day on earth, and how one conversation brought down an empire built on $400 million a week and the blood of 4,000 souls. 16 months ago, Pablo Escobar lived like a king in a prison he built for himself. La Catedral wasn't a jail, it was a fortress, a penthouse, a headquarters. He had a jacuzzi, a football field, a disco. He threw parties while running a cocaine empire and generated more cash than some countries' entire economies. But even kings make mistakes.
You thought you could steal $20 million and nothing would happen? You know my rules. Say it. Plata o plomo.
Pablo, please don't. I beg you. We will fix everything. Please.
Now deal with them and leave no trace.
Please don't. Forgive me. I will never do anything bad again.
Say hello to the devil. When he executed 2 of his own men inside those walls, President Gaviria had enough. The order came down. Transfer him to a real prison. Escobar had other plans. The 22nd of July, 1992. As government forces moved in through heavy fog, Pablo simply disappeared. Damn it! 400 soldiers, helicopters, international observers, and he walked out like a ghost. The greatest escape in modern history. But it also marked the beginning of the end. What followed was the most expensive manhunt in history. Search Bloc, a 600-man elite unit backed by the CIA, DEA, and Delta Force. Their mission? Find and eliminate Pablo Escobar. Their budget? Unlimited. Their methods? Anything necessary. The streets of Medellín became a battlefield. Escobar's response was typically brutal. Car bombs targeting police families, assassinations of anyone who helped the authorities. He put bounties on cops' heads. $1,000 for a regular officer, $2,000 for a sergeant. The city led. But the hunters had advantages Escobar didn't know about. Surveillance technology that officially didn't exist. Phone intercept equipment worth millions of dollars. And a secret weapon. They could track any phone call in Colombia in real time. All they needed was for him to make one mistake. For 16 months, the most famous criminal in the world lived like a rat, moving from safe house to safe house, sleeping in basements, attics, storage rooms. The man who once owned 7 planes and counted money with industrial scales was now carrying his life in a duffel bag. He watched his own funeral on television. His enemies had spread rumors he was dead. He read newspapers calling him everything from terrorist to folk hero. But the isolation was killing him. A man who commanded armies now traveled with just 2 bodyguards. The worst part? His family was falling apart. His wife, Maria Victoria Eneo, and children, Juan Pablo and Manuela, were hiding in hotels, changing locations every few days. The police were closing in on them too. Pablo was trapped between surrendering to save his family and continuing to run to save himself. The 2nd of December, 1993. Dawn breaks over Los Olivos, a middle-class neighborhood in Medellín. In a modest 2-story house, the world's most wanted man wakes up to what will be his last sunrise. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria, is 44 years old. He has been on the run for 499 days. The man who once owned hundreds of properties worth billions now lives in 2 rented rooms. The man who employed thousands now has just 2 bodyguards, Álvaro de Jesus Aguadelo Limón and another sicario known as El Arete. They are all that stands between him and the hundreds of men hunting him. This morning, Pablo does what he's done every morning for over a year. He reads about himself in the newspapers. But today's news is different. Reports suggest his family might be granted asylum in Germany. A glimmer of hope. If they escape, maybe he can find peace in their safety. For months, Pablo had followed one iron rule. Never stay on the phone longer than 3 minutes. Never call from the same location twice. Never break protocol. His life depended on electronic silence. But this morning, something breaks inside him. Maybe it's the newspaper reports about his family. Maybe it's the loneliness. Maybe it's just a father's desperate need to hear his son's voice. Whatever it is, Pablo Escobar is about to break his own rule. At exactly 10:23 a.m., he dials a number he's memorized but rarely calls. It connects to a hotel room in Bogotá, where his 16-year-old son, Juan Pablo, is hiding with his mother and sister. Pablo doesn't know it yet, but in a concrete bunker across Medellín, machines have already started listening. For the first time in months, Pablo allows himself to be just a father.
He talks to Juan Pablo about escape plans, about Mexico, about starting over. He tells his son he loves him. He promises they'll be reunited soon. The conversation is warm, emotional, human. 1 minute passes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, his usual limit, but Pablo keeps talking. 4 minutes, 5 minutes. In the background, you can hear his daughter, Manuela, laughing at something on television. Normal family sounds that have been absent from his life for too long. 5 minutes and 47 seconds. That's how long the call lasts. Pablo hangs up, feeling something he hasn't felt in months. Hope. He doesn't know that across the city, Search Bloc operators are already marking his location on their maps. In a fortified compound across Medellín, banks of computers process Pablo's fatal mistake. Radio direction finding equipment, technology so advanced it officially doesn't exist in Colombia, has pinpointed his location to within 100 meters. Los Olivos neighborhood, 2 possible streets, 3 possible houses. After 499 days of searching, they finally have him. The order goes out immediately. Surround the area, prepare for contact, take him alive if possible, but make sure he doesn't escape again. 43 Search Bloc operators load into armored trucks. They trained for this moment for over a year. Many of them have lost friends to Escobar's bombs and bullets. This isn't just a mission anymore. It's personal. For perhaps the first time in months, Pablo Escobar feels almost normal. He jokes with Leon about the terrible coffee. He watches children playing soccer through the window and remembers when he built football fields for kids just like them. For a moment, he's not the king of cocaine. He's just a man missing his family. Outside, Los Olivos goes about his daily business. Mothers hang laundry. Kids chase a worn soccer ball down dusty streets. Nobody knows that in minutes, this quiet neighborhood will become the site of the most famous shootout in Colombian history. The first Search Bloc units arrive at 1:47 p.m. They move like ghosts through the narrow streets, taking positions. Snipers on rooftops, assault teams at both ends of the block. The net is complete. Pablo Escobar is surrounded. At exactly 2:04 p.m., Pablo glances out the window and sees something that makes his blood freeze. A man in tactical gear, crossed behind a car, then another, then another. After 16 months of running, the hunt has finally found him. "Nos dimos," he shouts to his bodyguards. "We're fucked." It's the last thing Pablo Escobar will ever say that isn't a gunshot. Lamine grabs an AK-47. Pablo pulls his favorite pistol, a 9mm Sig Sauer he's carried for years. Eloit checks his weapon. The first shot comes from Search Bloc, a warning shot into the air. Pablo's response is immediate and predictable. He shoots back. The Battle of Los Olivos has begun. In the next 6 minutes, over 200 rounds will be fired on a quiet residential street. What happens next is 6 minutes of pure violence. Lamine unleashes full automatic fire from the second floor, his AK-47 spitting bullets at 600 rounds per minute. Search Bloc returns fire with military precision, AR-15 Galil rifles, everything they have. Bullets tear through the thin walls of the house like paper. Windows explode in showers of glass. Cars are shredded by crossfire. The sound is deafening, a constant roar of gunfire that can be heard across half of Medellín. Pablo realizes they can't win this fight. There are too many of them, and they have better positions. The only choice is what he's done dozens of times before: run. But this time, there's nowhere to go. Pablo and Lamine burst onto the rooftop. It's the same escape route Pablo has used countless times, across the clay tiles, jumping from house to house, disappearing into the maze of Medellin's rooftops. But this time is different. Bullets follow them across the tiles. Lamine goes down first, 3 rounds to the chest. Pablo doesn't look back. He can't. Blood streams from wounds in his leg and back, but he keeps moving. 51 years old, overweight, exhausted, but still running. For a moment, it seems like he might make it. Pablo Escobar has escaped impossible situations before. But then he stumbles, falls, and in that moment of vulnerability, Search Bloc closes in. The king of cocaine lies on a clay tile roof surrounded by the men who have hunted him for 499 days. Blood pools beneath him, but Pablo Escobar is still alive, still defiant. His eyes show no fear, no regret, only the cold calculation of a man deciding how his story ends. What happens next depends on who you believe. Official version: a Search Bloc officer fires the fatal shot. Unofficial version: Pablo reaches for his pistol one last time, but instead of shooting his enemies, he turns the gun on himself. At 3:15 p.m. on the 2nd of December, 1993, Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria dies on a rooftop in Los Olivos. The most wanted man in the world, the richest criminal in history, a father who just wanted to hear his son's voice one more time. The news spreads around the world in minutes. In Medellín, people pour into the streets, some celebrating, others mourning. Pablo Escobar was many things to many people: monster, hero, father, terrorist. But he was never just one thing. His death marked the end of the Medellín Cartel, but not the drug war. Other cartels rushed to fill the void. The violence continued. The cocaine kept flowing. Perhaps that's Pablo's real legacy, not the empire he built, but the war that outlasted him. The phone call that killed him lasted 5 minutes and 47 seconds. In that brief conversation with his son, Pablo chose love over survival. Maybe in the end that makes him human. Maybe that makes him a father. Or maybe it just makes him